שלום וברוכים הבאים לפסטיבל דוק אביב ה-22 ולתחרות עומק שדה. אנחנו מאוד שמחים ונרגשים לארח פה את ג'ונתן רסימיו, בימאי הסרט לשבות או לחדול. אני רוצה להודות לשגרירות צרפת ולמכון הצרפתי שהם תמכו בנו באירוע הזה. אנחנו נעשה עכשיו שיחה מקוונת עם ג'ונתן באורך של חצי שעה. אנחנו מזמינים אתכם להשאיר שאלות באזור של ה-Q&A. בכל שלב של השיחה אני אקרא אותם ואני אעביר אותם לג'ונתן. בבקשה אל תשתמשו באופציה של הצ'אט. ועכשיו באנגלית. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the 22nd Doc Aviv Film Festival and to the Depth of Field competition. We're delighted and honored to have with us Jonathan Resignol, the film director of Strike or Die. I want to thank the Embassy of France and the French Institute for supporting us in this event. We will have a 30-minute conversation with Jonathan. If you have any questions, you're welcome to leave them in the Q&A section, and I would read them and direct them to Jonathan. Please do not use the chat form. So hi, Jonathan. I'm so happy to have us here with us.
Hi, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm really happy to be there.
Yes, and thank you for this fantastic film. There's so many questions to ask. I just want to say that watching the film is a very haunting experience. And I'm hoping that we would be able to kind of like dig into the different layers that you put in the film. And I wanted to start by asking, your film mixes the past with the present. And when you started working on the film, when you started having the idea, where did you start? Did you start in the past or actually in the present, in the surface of things?
It's a good question. For me, it was at first the present, because this is my story at first, my memories of this strike. And I started with this question of memories of the strike. And when I found this footage, it was important for me to speak about this strike, because nobody knows the strike in my town. It was unbelievable. And I work with the young people in my town since more than 10 years now. So it was interesting for me to speak about that with these young people. And at first it was the present, at first. Yeah, because I know the situation of the town, of my town. I come from this city. And it's important for me to speak about the present, because present and past are together, because the young people are the children of these miners.
Yeah.
So it's the continuity of the story of this strike.
And can you tell us more about the strike? I know it was a big event. I mean, you know, the miners' strike in 1995 in France. I know it was an event, but I mean, can you just? And also, the footage is really overwhelming. Seems very tragic. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened there?
There are the most violent demonstration of the last 30 years in France, but nobody knows this strike, because in this time there were a lot of big demonstration in France because of the state want to make a lot of new things, and people don't want this. And in my town, they want to close the mines. That was a big shock for the miners, for all the people in the city and the region. And they started to fight with, they started to talk with the state, and they don't want to talk with the miners. And they started to strike, but at first it was just to talk, but the violence was very, very big. And it was the first time that the police fired from the helicopter of the demonstrant, of the people in France. It was the first time. but I was shocked to know that nobody knows the story in my town. For example, my parents, they remember the fight, but the violence, they forget the violence. And it was the first time that people see the footage, this footage. And I met Gustav, a miner who shot all the footage. And we decided to make something together, but he said to me, yeah, I don't want to work with this footage. I just want to give you all my footage and you can make what you want. It was, for me, it was wow, a big chance to work with this, yeah.
So the footage was taken by one of the strikers, but by one of the miners.
Yeah, one of the miners shot all the footage. At first, he worked for the industry. He was a miner, but he worked in the communication part, and this is why he had this camera and all these things. And he decided to shoot all this footage because it was unbelievable to see this violence. Yeah.
It's very interesting. So he was working for the communication section of the same company,
yeah.
the same company,
yeah.
Basically in their PR. And then when the strikes happened, he crossed the lines.
Yeah.
You can see that he's very much aligned with the miners. And yeah, I was also very curious about the footage. I was asking myself, was this a TV footage? Were there any coverage of the strikes? Because, you know, these days we know that people go on a strike or on a demonstration, they go with cameras and then with, you know, placards or something. I mean, cameras these days are such an important part of demonstrations, but this is 1995. And how did you learn about the footage? How did you find it? How did you find Gustav?
Gustav, all this footage was by Gustav, and he lived in my city, in my town, and it was difficult to Gustav to give the footage because we see all the miners, and it was a big problem because at first he made this footage for the industry, for the state, and the state maybe want to see who are the people who do this demonstration.
Yeah,
he understood this, and he don't want to give the footage because it was really how to say that, dangerous. Then it was really dangerous for the miners.
Yeah.
But after 20 years, he said, okay, we can do this now, and you can make a film with the footage. And yeah, but it was really really strange because there is more than 10 hours of footage.
Wow.
And yeah, I want to make something else with this footage.
Yes, you should.
It just the first work.
How long did the strike last, or the violence? How long did it last?
The big violence during 3 days.
Wow.
But he shoot during 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
Because it's not there is a lot of demonstration.
Yeah.
Demonstration in the film are the most violent. Yeah.
And at the end, the strikers lost, I assume, the miners.
No, they don't lost. They win. They win. The miners win. Yeah. They win the dignity.
Yeah.
The dignity. It was very important to the strikers to say, okay, you want to, the state want to close the mines, but we cannot stay like, okay, you can do that. They want to say, no, we want to be, to have this, this dignity. We want our dignity, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, go ahead.
No, I just want to say that they won. For me, they won.
Yes.
Yeah, because they have earned the dignity, and it was really important to have the pensions. They won the pensions, the big pensions.
I mean, it brings me to another question, because there are like a few metaphors that you employ in the film. There is the smoke, and I'm going to ask about it in a minute, but there is also the boxing, which is, you know, it's real footage. It's not only a metaphor, but it is also a metaphor.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I want to ask you so many questions about the boxing. First of all, I mean, for me, it was amazing how you shoot it, how you shoot the boxers. It was very, very powerful, the way you shoot them. But also, you know, we watched the old footage of the strike, and then we watch the boxers, and it's such a noble match, boxing, no? I mean, it is about dignity. So if you can say something about how you use the boxing as metaphor for this, or how do you make the connection between the boxing and the strikes?
The first connection is that these young people in the box are the children of the strikers, and it was unbelievable to see the children doing box.
Yeah.
For me, wow, okay, the strike continues, but
yeah,
it's not the same. But there is a fight. There is a fight, and yeah, it's hard to be a boxer, because you are alone on the ring. You are alone, and you have to fight with someone. And but what was really important for me was to say that box are a sport, comment on dit, not individual.
yes.
It's a group. At first, it's a group.
Yeah.
And Joseph, the coach,
Yeah.
It's like the syndicalist in the strike, you know. He said, okay, you have to do it. It's like the father. It's like the father. And for me, it was the same. It was the same. And I tried to shoot the boxing like Gustav shot the strikers. But yeah.
Can you say more about this? Because for me, for instance, it was the proximity, like we're very close to the boxers, especially at first. I also felt like the way you shoot the boxers, it's first about strength, right? And it's about resilience. We see them sweat, we hear them breathe. It's very embodied, you know, it's very visceral. But then it's also about heritage. Right, there is the moment where the coach meet this this younger guy whose uncle was also a boxer, and it's a lot about support, you know, and it's about this building this strength that, as you said, is not individual. It's about the support system, and then it's also about winning or striking back, right at the very end. So for me, it was. The portrayal of the boxing was very powerful. And I'm interested to hear how you say, like, you wanted to shoot it like Gustav shoot the miners. What did you recognize there?
Um, yeah, it's hard to say this of English because my English is not so not so good. I try to be close of the young people, of the boxers, of Mary and Louis, the couple, the husband and close with Kasim and Mohammed.
Yeah.
And yeah, Gustav was very close with the strikers, and for me it was really important to be close with the protagonist of the film. Yeah. I try to be very, very close with the bodies because the bodies is the most important in a strike.
Yeah.
The strikers fight with the body at first, and the boxers too. And Louis has had this problem with the hand, and he cannot fight with the patron, with the boss.
Yeah.
And yeah, I make a lot of a link with this true story. And yeah, it was. I don't know if I am clear or not, but
no, it's very interesting, and I wanted to ask you about the smoke then, because you talk a lot about body and being close, and I feel like the smoke is the opposite, and you use it throughout the film. For me, the smoke was like a ghost, but also it was the tear gas. If you can say, when did you realize you wanted to use the smoke? How did you decide how to shoot it or where to put it in the film? What does it provoke for you?
Yeah, the first memory for me of the strike was the fog, because when I was young, I go to school, and there was this smoke from the tear gas, and it was very violent. And I would like to make something with this smoke. And for me, it's the smoke. There is a lot of interpretations for the smoke, but it could be the anger, the rage of the people, the tear gas. Yeah, it was. I don't want to say, okay, the smoke represent the anger, the rage, because for me, at first, it was my memory.
Yeah,
it was in my memory, and the smoke, it's like a ghost in the town, the ghost of the strike. I don't know. So yeah.
And together with the smoke, there is this red lightning. And I wanted to ask you, because this is artificial, right? I mean, also the smoke is artificially produced into. There is a level of hybridity in the film. And if you can tell us which parts you more staged and which parts it's about like you capturing these interactions or these moments. If you can say a little bit about the hybridity of the film.
With the protagonist, you mean, or?
Yeah, I was, for instance, with Louis and Marie. I mean, these are so like the way you document them. It's so intimate, and I was puzzled by it. I was like, is this for real? Because also it's because they stage themselves. They do this, when Marie tried to help Louis confront his boss. They do this improvisation.
Yeah.
For me, it was like, oh my God, they're now staging the film in a way.
It was really funny to shoot this, but we worked a lot of time to do this scene, for example. But I know all my protagonists. All the protagonists are my friends. I know the protagonist since a long time, a very long time, because we worked together of another film. And I have to say that Marie and Luis are my parents.
I suspected that, I must admit.
It's not clear because it was not really important for me. So they are my parents, and yeah, for me it was really important to speak about this problem with his boss. It was not planned at first. It was not the plan to do this, but it was really clear for me to speak about that, because it was the same. It was a strike. It was a fight. I mean,
yeah,
a fight. But Louis is alone. It's not like the miners who are a big family and they are together. But now people are alone. They work alone. The industry, all the industries are closed. It's not the same time, and people don't know how to fight with the boss. For example, for me it was like a mode d'emploi, how to fight with his boss.
yeah, yeah.
It was really important to explain how to fight with the boss, how to box. There is this moment when Joseph say to Kasim how to fight. Okay, you can do that, do like that, and do like this. You know, it was like how to fight.
Yeah. But it's very powerful what you say about being alone, right? Because I mean, I think that, as you said, the history of exploitation and the struggle of workers in France, I mean, it's not a history, it's still happening. I mean, one of the questions I wanted to ask you was about, you know, how can we think about the film? It came out this year when, you know, there were all these news about the yellow jacket strikes in France, and a lot of footage of police brutality towards the strikers. And, you know, I've been talking to friends in France, and all of them were a bit confused who to side with. They say, oh, you know, but this violence, I mean, of course we support the workers. For me, there is a very interesting thing about the loneliness of Louis in his struggle, right? And the idea that, you know, workers are still being exploited, but they don't have, you know, they're not conscious of the power in unionizing, which is to kind of bring it back to my question. How to look at the film in current days France, you know, with all the strikes that were happening throughout the last, I think, more than a year.
Yeah, in my city, a lot of miners are now this yellow jacket. It is a gilet jaune. It was a big question for me to speak about the gilet jaune, but it was difficult because I'll say that I will always be on the side of the oppressed because of my story. My grandfather was a miner, and he fight a little because he was a migrant. As a migrant, it's not the same. And yeah, actually, in the present, people want to fight, but they don't know how. They don't know how. And I would like to make a film to learn how to fight, and to learn that strike is a big story, because it's not a story of the present. People strike since so many years, maybe more than, I don't know. So it's always the same. It's always the same.
I mean, and there is a question about the future also in the film, right? We talk about the way the past and the present are related, but there are all these footage of you with the two immigrant youth. I think they're from either Algeria or Tunisia. Is that correct? I was hoping you can say a little bit more about how you worked with them, or why is it important for you that they'll be in the film? I think they add another layer. They added also the idea of like an immigrant society, which is, you know, being an immigrant is also a struggle. And it's also about oppression. So if you can say something about this part of the film.
For my protagonist, it was really important to speak about the situation of young people, Algerian people, Muslim people, because it's not the same. We are all migrants in my city, but I have the chance to be to come from Italy. It's not the same when you come from Algeria or Tunisia or Morocco. It's not the same. It's more difficult for these young people, because as Mohammed said and Kasim said in the film, when you have a Arabic name, it's not the same. It's more difficult. It's always more difficult. And a part of my family are Muslims, so for me it was really important to speak about that.
But there is a beautiful
change.
There is a beautiful, I mean, there is the scene in which they go to the miners museum, and it's a very beautiful scene because they recognize something there, you know. So maybe I'm not sure if it's their grandparents who were the strikers, because, you know, they're immigrants, but they recognize this continuity, right? They make the connection between the struggle of the workers and the struggle of the immigrants, which I think is very, very powerful, you know, and speaks back to this kind of loneliness of that you mentioned earlier. I mean, can you say a little bit? For me, it was a very powerful moment where I was also wondering what brings, you know, to I don't know, young men that otherwise go to the fair, what brings them to the museum? So
because for me it was interesting to see that the young people don't know this story, and I started to go in this museum, and for example in the museum you cannot see the word of strike or syndicate. This story is not in the museum, and for me it was like, wow, it's not possible. But I understand, because the museum was built by the state, and the state don't want to speak about that because it's really dangerous for the state to say, okay, we miners was not so well. They want to make like a Disneyland, you know. In this museum it's like Disneyland. Every it was a really nice moment. People was really happy to work here. It's not like that, and I would like to bring Kasim and Moha to say, okay, can you go in this museum, and we have to find the story of the strike. And it was not possible because the story is not present in the museum. And Kasim and moi was very shocked, because at first the story of the museum is not present, but the story of the migrants are not present too. There is a little part of the story of the migrant, but not just a little part. And it was a shock for Kasim and for me too.
Yes, that they're like part of the narrative that are just being cut out. Which brings me to, I mean, you know, this would be my last question. If you showed the film in your town, and how did people engage with it? What were their response? Also, because I'm thinking that with your film now, we do have a representation of the strike, right? I mean, you rewrite the violence that happened and the exploitation that happened into the history, and you bring it to the story of the present, and you bring it to the story of the immigrants. So just to ask you, how did people in the town respond to this portrayal of their own, you know, of their own space, of their own town?
Yeah, it's a good question, but in this moment we don't make a premiere in my town because of the situation.
Yeah.
But in September, in 2 weeks, we will do the premiere in my town of the film.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to make something big. I want to invite the miners, the strikers, the young people, and I think we have to make something in my town with this film.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, it's just before we started the webinar, you and I were talking about how because the film premiered at the Berlinale in February, and right after that, you know, that was it. Film theaters were shut down, distribution stopped, film festivals had to go online. And I just want to say that, you know, when we watched the film for Doc Aviv, we were talking about we had in mind the big screen, and we had in mind the theater as a public space, you know, where people come together and talk. So just to say, I mean, I don't know what I have to say about that. Just to say that I'm happy that, you know, despite we don't have the theater right now and we don't have big screens, the film still has a life, and it still circulates, and it still make it to people. And I really, really hope that you will be able to have the screening, and that the screening will have like the screening in your town, and it will have many afterlife. And I don't know, maybe they'll screen the film in the museum as well one day.
I think it's not possible in the moment, but it will be really, really nice. Yeah, we have to find now a distributor for the film, and yeah, the producer worked to find a distributor for the film. Yeah, it's really important to meet people with the film, to talk with people.
Yes.
And
yes.
yeah, it's really important. Yeah, and I hope it could be happen now, but with the situation, it's really, really hard. But yeah, it's like that for the moment.
Yeah. Jonathan, I hope that for your next film, you and I will both be in a big theater in the Cinematheque in Tel Aviv. Okay. And we would be able to speak with live audience. Oh. I want to thank you for this really impressive work, and for this conversation today. I'm very happy that we were able to do it.
Thank you very much to choose the film for the festival. For me, it's really important, and yeah, I'm really honored to have the film in the festival. And yeah, I don't know, I just want to say thanks for the conversation too. I'm sorry for my English, but yeah, I learn German at the moment, so it's difficult to learn to language, but yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and when one learns German, there's very little space for other languages.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ciao.
Bye.